It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that one and done train. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos a One and Done, your fast break of college basketball información, coming to you for a live reaction show after a 76-73 victory for those Tennessee Volunteers over the Houston Cougars. Happy to join us tonight here on One and Done. My name is Jay Heinrich. If you don't know, now you know. I'm the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train. Joined tonight by the man around these parts known as El Capitan himself, the captain of the One and Done ship at MC Holland 34 over there on X, the OG Money Mike, Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, what it do? How you feeling? What a game.
Yeah, what a game. This entire, Players Era festival it's been awesome. Like to see, a couple of games got out of hand, but for the most part, man, we're seeing some really good basketball. I know people are complaining about the crowds, right? But it is what it is, right? As far as this game, I mean, it just finished less than 10 minutes ago, and yeah, I mean, it's just kind of one of those things where Tennessee in the second half it felt like they, stepped it up defensively, and they were really just able to kind of hold down Houston's offense, which. Look, man, for everything that Houston does defensively, if you're going to score 76, I think we were talking about it yesterday. I was like, there's no way anybody's scoring 75 on Houston. So last year, they only allowed 75 plus 3 times last year. 2 of those games they lost. The 2 that they lost were in overtime. The other one was against Gonzaga in the NCAA tournament. So if you're going to score 75 points against Houston, you're probably going to win. And that's exactly what happened here. Tennessee squeaking by, and it was on free throws, right? 6 free throws hit huge by Jacoby Gillespie going 9 for 9 from the free throw line, because otherwise he was held down from that monster trap that Houston runs, where they just take the ball out of your best player's hands, or at least the facilitator's hands. He was 5 of 16, but hit a couple of big threes in the second half, and then obviously 9 for 9 from the free throw line with 6 straight to close the game out, man.
You got to make those free throws, and he came up clutch for his team there. 76-73 win for Tennessee over U of H. Why don't you join Darren in the live chat, who already commented on Fleming, who is absolutely a stud. You are absolutely right, my man, Darren. Fleming's 25 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, like an all-around game for this freshman, Mike. Nothing looks too big for him. I said something a little bit more off color offline than I'll say here, but he stepped up and just like he didn't have a conscience and hit that 3 there at the very end. Like, I'm just going to do it. Like, what? Why not? Right. So shout out to Fleming's in the loss, stepping up big for his team. 25 points for the Cougars. Fleming's had, but Mike, I kind of wanted to talk to you. You hit on something a little bit ago. And it's like if you score 76 against Houston, you're going to win. There was some commentary during the game about, it's already 8 seconds left in the shot clock and Houston hasn't passed it inside. Houston is not going to rush anything in. They're not going to take any bad shots. They want you to play good defense for 25 seconds on the shot clock. I mean, it is what it is. Like, Houston wants you to slow the game down. And I mean, it's just funny that 2 teams right here that both slow the game down ended up both over 70 today. Yeah. In a game where, Tennessee's played a couple that they should be a little bit more worn down, right? And no, they step up to this game against Houston, one of the best teams in the country, obviously, and comes out with a 3-point victory. I meant, Mike, for Tennessee, only 1 field goal in the entire game, and they still found a way to get this victory. He went 1 for 8. I will say that was a hustle play where he didn't give up on the ball, and Gillespie had it tipped away from him there on a breakaway, and he got there and made a great play for his team in a big time. And I think if we're going to take something away from this game for him, he didn't check himself out mentally. He stayed in it for his team. He played good minutes, and he just didn't hit any shots tonight, man. But that's how it's going to go sometimes for these young players. He still had 5 boards, 4 dimes, like only turned the ball over once, which I definitely appreciate there. But what would you have done differently, though, Mike, on the other side, like if you're Houston?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm looking at Houston's box right now, and I was surprised that, 2 fouls on Emmanuel Sharp, man, and he, early in the game, and he basically sat the entire first half. So I don't love that. He's like one of your key players. So I would have liked to have seen him come in, for like a 2-3 minute spurt under 8, maybe for the last couple of possessions before halftime. I feel like that could have definitely affected the game. Just don't get a lot inside, man. Like, Sinak, he was, 5 points, 2 for 8. He missed all 3-point attempts. Now, he was great on the glass. He was very physical, but he did give up some things inside. And that's just, when these two teams play each other, they're just so physical. Because, Jalen Carey on the other side, 13 and 7. Like, if a Mint's going to go 1 for 8, then you need to have a couple other guys that aren't supposed to really get it going. And that was definitely Jalen Carey pouring in 13 points. And then Bishop Boswell playing great defense. And he went 4 for 4 for 10 points. And that's just found money, essentially. And you needed to find it against this Houston team, because Gillespie and Mint, when you put them together, man, 6 for 24. If he had told me that at the beginning of the game, I would have said Houston probably won by 8 to 10 points.
Right.
You're talking about Tennessee coming out the win. So, yeah, the only thing that I knocked Sampson on this one is I just didn't love that. I get why he did it, because you would rather have him, in the second half not picking up a third one, man. But I'm just more of a believer in, like, you gotta trust your guy, dude. He's he's a staple of your program. Like, you can't run him out there for 4 minutes. Kind of a weird deal here. So, yeah, I'm a little worried about Houston's depth, Jay. Like,
I think that's something that we'll have to pay attention to as the season goes on, as Houston gets to another situation like that. Will he have the trust in his players to put them back out there and not have to sit out for long stretches of the game? And speaking of long stretches of the game, U of H scored 73 points, and there was like a 7-minute stretch in the second half that they didn't score.
Yeah.
It was crazy to watch, and they just, we're in the game, doesn't matter. No panic, right? We're in the game, doesn't matter. Tennessee's largest lead all night was 6 points. Houston, we're in the game, Houston. We're in the game, whatever. We'll be around at the end. And they were around in the end. Like, they were down a point with 4 seconds left or whatever to get the ball in the end. But, like, if you get a turnover there, something crazy happens, you get the ball. Like, they were in the game at the end. And it's just the way that team is coached. It's the way that program is run. There's never any urgency, and I mean that in the most positive way possible.
Yeah.
We're playing basketball. Are you playing basketball? Because we're playing basketball. You might be a great team and just flat out beat us ones on ones. Like, it just happens that way sometimes. And you just you shake their hand and you walk away. This felt like a tournament game, though. But the good thing is like, obviously Houston doesn't have to worry about their season being over here. After playing this, they can learn from it, and of course they will. A 76-73 win for Tennessee over U of H. Do they like to be called U of H, Mike? I've always called them U of H. Are they just like, is it just the Houston Cougars? Like, U of H is, I don't know. I don't want to piss off any Cougar fans.
The University of Houston.
The University of Houston, in Houston, at Houston, by Houston. The Cougars, however you slice it. Yeah, exactly. Oh, sorry. I don't know if we can actually put the emphasis on that. I think there's a trademark on the emphasis on that word. But either way, shout out to these two teams for treating us to a fantastic early season matchup. 76-73 win for Tennessee. Uzan Mike he's that guy. Like, I know we talked about, obviously, like, Kingston Flemings is going to be the guy that most people look at a box score on a night in and night out basis and be like, oh, well, he must be everything to that team. Uzan means so much to this Houston team. And it's so obvious. Like, 35 minutes, they hardly want to take him off the floor. He had 3 fouls, but he didn't hit any threes tonight. 1 for 6 from 3. So he did hit 1. I can't say he didn't hit any, but he barely almost didn't hit any. 1 for 6 there, man.
Shot 40% last year, so you expect him to hit
think about it. He hits one of those, and you play, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts thing, but it's a different game, right? And that he probably would have hit one when Houston was in that big long scoring drought in the second half. And who knows the way that this game goes. I think it was worth mentioning. You talked about Carey earlier, Mike. That big tip in off of the missed free throw. That's one of those plays that you look at it. He probably had his best game as a volunteer here. 22 minutes off the bench, 13 points, 7 rebounds. But that tip in, Mike, at a time like that, when it's so important to just try to get every point and every upper hand possible. And that's one where I feel like, that's where Houston, you can look back at it. That's one of those moments where you just say, if we box out on a free throw, but shout out to Carey, man. I thought that was a great performance by him tonight.
No, he was awesome. And here's the thing, here's the difference in the bench, right? We talked about game stats, but Carey and Estrella, the two bigs off the bench, 10 combined points for them in the second half. The entire bench for Houston in the second half, 0 points. So I think the thing is with Sampson, there's 4 guys he can trust. You can trust Flemings, Uzan, Tugler, and Sharp. Obviously, Uzan, Tugler, and Sharp because they're the big 3 from last year. Kingston Flemings because he's shown that. Chris Sinak needs to come along to kind of be that 5th guy for them, and then they got to find something off the bench that they can really trust, which I think they will, because you look at it and their 6th and 7th best player are going to be Sinak here, and then Harwell, who's a freshman coming off a major injury. So yeah, I think Houston, their upside later in the year is going to be people are going to look down. Like I said, they play a lot of close games. They got beat by Tennessee. They should have maybe lost to Syracuse. But then when you talk about 3 5-star freshmen that are going to be in your top 6 player, your top 6 guys, what is that going to look like in February and March? I think they're going to be just fine. So I think people are going to be, a little down on them coming out of this one. But that's a really good Tennessee squad who was looking for a big win because they hadn't really played anybody yet.
76-73 win, their first true test of the season, and they passed it with flying colors. Hop in the live chat before we get out of here. Let us know what you think about this game. We'd love to hear from you before we get off the air. And if you're watching later on, make sure you hop in the comment section. And of course, if you've gotten this far, you've already hit those like and subscribe buttons, all right? And the notification bells, because we're doing these live reaction shows. We're coming to you. We're bringing all the news and notes that you can handle, live reaction, covering college basketball in and out year round. So make sure you hang out with us here on One and Done right here on the channel. Mike, I wanted to ask you for any last takeaways here of this fine early season matchup before we log off.
Yeah, no, I think this was definitely a heavyweight fight. I think that, when we get to, if these teams match up again, like in the tournament in an Elite 8 type matchup, I think we're going to see Mint and Sinak look a lot different than what they look like in this first matchup, man. But yeah, just a shout out to, this Players Era Festival, man. It's just been an all day binge watching session of college hoops, man. And I'm glad that, coming this Sunday, we'll be able to wrap everything up after a crazy week with all the other tournaments as well that are going on.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be off the air for 5 days here, which is very uncharacteristic of One and Done. But fear not, breadheads and hoop heads alike. We'll be back on Sunday with our news and notes show. Going to have our updated top 25 power rankings. How far will Houston fall? I bet not very far, if we're being quite honest. But make sure you tune in for that next Sunday. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. Talking tonight about this 76-73 victory for Tennessee over Houston. What an early season matchup. And Tennessee might be a top 5 team. These voters might put them in the top 5 after this win if they hold through the rest of the week. So shout out to Tennessee. Big win for the Volunteers. Thanks for tuning in with us tonight. Thanks to El Capitan himself, the captain of the One and Done ship at MC Holland 34 on X, the OG Money Mike. That's Mr. Mike Holland. Shout out to our guy, Nape C. Hustle, for pushing the buttons tonight. Nape, appreciate you. Appreciate our guy at Fantasy Nap for getting the studio ready. He's out on the moon somewhere, I think, traveling just everywhere. Shout out to you, Biggs. And shout out to you for hanging out with us tonight on One and Done. Until next time, my name is JAYHEINRICH. Come again. Hey, yo.